Again, at the end of the day, Yamato is still just one ship. And the Gameless fleet has been able to take out just about every other human-designed ship it's ever run across, so... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with another episode of Space Battleship Yamato, obviously specifically the 1974 version. As always, we come back with notes and a board, so let's go ahead and hit up the board first. And with the board comes the board changelog, where I connected Domel to Hisu with a green line, because that's the first time they've actually interacted together. And then I added Geto, Barger, Cloyce, and Hiddern, and I connected them to Domel with a green line, as that's our new additions to the Gameless forces for their new fleet plan, the attack that I assume starts this episode. I don't know. I just feel like the number of episodes left, we're going to be at this, either this entire episode or multiple episodes. I don't know. Well, that is the board, and as I said, we have notes. I was putting together my schedule for recording and episode releases when it only just occurred to me that the first run of Yamato only had 26 episodes. When I first organized the chronological watch orders for Universal Century Gundam and Macross, I knew ahead of time how much stuff there was to watch by virtue of making those lists. For some reason, I think I believed that the first run of Yamato had like 50 episodes or something, so I was packing it in for a long haul. So I was just a bit surprised when I saw that I was rather near the end of this run. Well, now I know that Yamato 2 comes after this with another 26 episodes to pack in for. And I've also made a list now of what to watch and when for both this and the reboot continuity, so I'm ready for that now. Not going to be a surprise. I find the whole Domel situation ridiculous. They put him in command because of his ability, proven by his recent victories in another battle-torn region. They knew his skill and presumably what lengths he'd be willing to go to achieve them. The problem being that everyone beneath Dessler seems to be a cult of personality that takes exception to Domel's narrow focus on the Yamato over his loyalty to Dessler as an affront to Dessler himself, to the point of ordering his execution on the spot. Thankfully, Dessler remembers why he personally assigned Domel the task to start with. I say thankfully because I'm not entirely sure that Dessler isn't schizophrenic, as I previously mentioned. But then again, I don't know how much of the early episode stuff is stuff that actually gets carried forward as being not important, actually a thing. You know, like Dessler used to be, I don't want to say a tan human person, and now he's blue. So obviously there's aspects of his personality that got just, not personality, aspects of his character that got dropped as time went on. So we are hearing about communications that Gameless is contaminated in some way. Contaminated by what? They are irradiating Earth to move to it. So is Gameless being contaminated by oxygen and plant life? Is Iskander hitting them with anti-radiation devices to clean up their sister world, which is harming Gameless? Shots in the dark here. Domel is surprisingly just chill working with Gale again. I'd describe their relationship as even better after Gale betrayed Domel than it was before. Gale's cool, getting educated about stuff, and just doing what Domel says, without any of the looks he was giving him in the past, or trying to do his own thing behind Domel's back. They went over the fact that they have limited time to reach Iskander, and that they are falling more and more behind. It has been said time and again they should just avoid combat and just book it to Iskander. Yet every time something is in their way, it becomes something that they cannot avoid and have to deal with. I think that's nonsense and ignoring valid concerns that the show has established for us already. They should have accepted Domel's challenge and just booked it to Iskander while the Gamulus fleet gathered in a spot behind them. Of course, they'd have to deal with them at some point, but the first goal should still be to reach Iskander and then head home. Gamulus's interruptions should only be met when they are actually unavoidable. Hell, wait long enough and they would just accidentally run into all of it at Iskander when they realize Gamulus is right next door. Then you can have the big fight you've been spoiling for, cause it'll be unavoidable. I feel like Domel saying that their loyalty to the Führer will be their weapon was a hint towards something, but I've got no real conception, based on what's been shown to us so far, what that could be foreshadowing. Assuming that it is foreshadowing anything at all and wasn't just a chance to dig at Gale, best guess, all of the fighters unloaded back on the Gambless and the transportation thing Domel was talking about is there. So loyalty could just be his shorthand for communicating back home, which would be which would be to let them know to launch the fighters through the dimensional thingy. That's my best guess about what's going on there. And my final note here. At the end of the episode, we go all the way to 215 days left, meaning 38 days have passed since the destruction of Balin. By my count, it's now March 7th. We didn't really get much about the editor's notes, not that I don't disagree with them a lot of the time, but they didn't count anything about days or even mention that it was weird that 38 days passed without anything happening. I don't know. But like I said, that's my final note. So let's go ahead and hop into the episode and see what we get.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Decisive battle in the Rainbow Star Cluster. 1975. Okay. I did not make a note of this before, but I mentioned it during the episode. Okay, I was going to say, I thought this was a new opening. I was like, this doesn't sound like the opening song. Oh, okay, I don't remember him saying that either. Also, is this a lower quality video or just a different video? They hid further away from Balin, if you remember. This is definitely different audio. There's also elements of the audio for Yamato that makes me think of Scooby-Doo for some reason. Through the Cosmos Zero away from the Yamato? Isn't that the fighter squadrons? Or are they just talking about luring the fighter squadrons away? Because if you were a fighter pilot, you wouldn't know which way forward was. Remember, they have 4 carriers worth of squadrons. Plus, you know, whatever's going to be launched through that teleportation dimensional portal network thing. So Geto is leading the squadrons himself. I'm confused. Was Cosmo Zero the name of the fighter groups, or was Cosmo Zero... What is Cosmo Zero? Do I just forget? Or is it the name of one specific fighter? In which case, this goes back to my previous question of how does Domel know all this stuff? Is there a spy on board? Back to my analyzer thing. So is each carrier carrying a very specific, different division of fighter craft? Is that the thing? I don't think you're... I'm saying, you didn't show them launching anything else but the one. Oh, it's on your ship. I thought it was back on Gambless for some reason. Is this alluding to the dimensional travel that they talked about back in that episode where the Yamato accidentally entered fourth dimensional space? It's also odd that they don't have to jump ahead to make sure they're not teleporting their forces into the middle of nowhere. Or not in the middle of nowhere, into the middle of something. Right, literally behind you. Pretty sure one of your bridge crew members' specific job is to follow the radar. Probably not the best to use the ship's cannons against fighter. Especially because you have anti-aircraft guns. Oh. Good shot, though. It's a pretty cool, well-animated shot. Again, at the end of the day, Yamato is still just one ship. And the Gambless fleet has been able to take out just about every other human-designed ship it's ever run across, so... The thing is, I understand what he's doing. He's hitting them with waves of different weapons that they're not accustomed to fighting against. It just seems like they should have done this as a joint operation and overwhelmed them in total, rather than, one at a time. Also weird that torpedo fighter almost went off the deck like that. There should be no gravity. It should just move forwards. Also, wasn't that clicking thing he's using the same thing the Pluto guys used? Feels like a very familiar control device. This does feel like prime setup for a video game. Really could do like a good missile attack. Or sorry, missile defense Yamato game. It very much doesn't feel like it's going to be an episode of the week where we just start the next episode and Yamato's fine again. No plural this time, it's the heavy bomber. Oh, right, to fire the thing down its wave cannon. Why don't you just fire it at the warp area? Warp it. Because they'll never see it coming. It'll just appear. Hell, for that matter, why don't you just warp it into the Yamato? Yeah, it's crazy to have a fight go on so long that you just have time to rest and recoup in the middle of it. I guess also the element that you warped your fighters out there, so they're just gonna run out of fuel and drift. Come on, there's no reason to have Morai do that. He's been through all these combats before. Honestly, this is going so well for Domo. At this point, I would be not surprised if he woke up and this was all a dream. Okay, I guess that was our mid-credit roll. Mid-episode roll. I don't want to say credit. very convenient for them to have built an opening in the front of the missile.
あのミサイルの爆発まであと15分。波動砲を塞がれたヤマトはもはや無力。とどめを刺してやる。重爆撃機帰還しました。全艦発進。全艦発進。おい、レーダーの修理はまだ終わらないのか。こんなところへ敵がドットを仕掛けてきたら一体どうなるんだよ。工場長、ドリルミ
I
サイ
mean,
ル
yeah, we need like a full report about all the damage, because the Yamato should be completely fucked up right now. So, I wonder, could they just fire the wave motion gun and just blow everything out? Extreme situation, mind you. I assume the answer would just be no, but thoughts on the table. And that's why that's the battle carrier. I mean, I guess small things, at the very least, we know that's just all the male members of the crew dying. At this point, I feel like even if you figure out the drill missile, Yamato is just fucking fucked up right now. Yeah, look at that hole. I would almost think this might just be the episode the Yamato surrenders. It also took that drill missile longer than 30 seconds to get this deep in. It would be insane for it to travel faster backwards. And yet, for some reason, it does. That is ridiculous. That is also stupid. Why did that one run into the other one? I understand I'm supposed to be rooting for the good guys, okay? But I believe the good guys should also be beholden to the same realism that I hold everything else to. Just like every commander in the Gambless fleet, I was trained to ram. Because, you know, all those shots we took in the back, we still move at perfectly 100% speed. I'll give them this. At the very least, they've implied that the Yamato took a lot of damage. Even though it's perfectly fine right there. Sorry, the drum bits are my favorite part of that soundtrack element. Also, they showed us one of the cannons being completely destroyed, and in every shot, it's back again. Maybe that's what he meant by loyalty being their greatest weapon. You're willing to backstab me to your loyalty. Are you going to be willing to kill yourself for that same loyalty? The people on the bottom bridge can't see it coming. I mean, one way or the other, this has got to be the end of Domal. Don't give a shit about Gale. I guess they could demand the surrender and they just haven't activated the self-destruct. They've certainly reanimated his face for these scenes. Still just don't take any time explaining what's going on with Gamulus. Cool little pan shot. I do appreciate the panning. Good discipline. Really trained the discipline well on these guys. Ooh, it really does look like they cracked the bottom of the hull. Oh, that's even worse than I looked. Oh, they're gonna limp their asses to Iskander. Though most of those guns should not be there anymore.
我々の心によみがえって明日の地球の力となるだろう。我々は君たちを決して忘れはしない。キリー
Kind of a, well, I mean, 36, like the 72 gun salute they're doing there. It's more than that. I know, my math is wrong.
もうイスカンダルは間近だ。急げヤマトよ。地球は君たちの帰りを待っている。
And yet it's fully repaired all of a sudden. Or is this just new ending credits? Okay, I think it's just new ending credits. With oddly no editor notes like we usually get. Film was delayed and the episode was shown in the incorrect background. The original episode is included in the special feature. The remaining episode took Tiger Production 50 days to make. They watched the Battle of Britain and other war movies. That's pretty cool. Production took so long. Main episode couldn't edit short. Recap part was submitted 80-second opening sequence. It was all seen Yamato taking off at the end of the episode. Text 2 and 14 days. I don't think they told us any days. But clearly that they're referring to is the thing that got removed. Huh. Weird time to get a new ending credit, though. As far as we got any new different ending credits. Then again, there was no opening this episode, right? So, and last episode felt like it had a different song, which is the thing I was about to indicate. No, yeah, and no ending thing. This was a weird episode. Specifically, obviously, because it's like the most intensive combat episode we've ever gotten in the show. But also just the element of they do such a good job of increasing the stakes, but not in the way that I typically say is great. They have to make me worried that we're going to lose something, and at no point was ever a main character in a position of danger, except for maybe the missile guys, but the missile was really the only danger, as it turned out. And I guess not for nothing, when you show me a bunch of NPCs I've never seen before, and then kill them in the same moment that I've just met them, that's not emotionally impactful. Like, I understand from a perspective of, I'm rooting for the people from Earth, and these are the people from Earth, maybe, but I've got no emotional attachment to a bunch of background characters that all have the same face. From the same token, none of the damage done to the Yamato matters. The ship can fly just as perfectly as it is when not damaged. The guns all fire even when they're told they don't. We saw one of the guns just fucking explode. And at the end of the episode, both sets of guns are still there. So nothing done to the Yamato really affected the Yamato. The drill missile thing just goes right down the barrel, right? It takes it a while to go all the way down. And then it goes faster in reverse. So I guess they had no remote detonation device on it. It just was on a timer. And it backs into one ship, and the explosion of one ship takes out 4 ships. Like, I guess they couldn't write their way into the Yamato defeating this fleet, so they just had the fleet defeat itself. And that just takes me out. It's like, what the fuck? Domel's sacrifice. One thing, I love a good ram. I'm not going to say I don't like a good ram, and they failed to ram. But also, it was dumb. You had the warp thing, right? You could have just warped the Yamato, you know? Set your warp area to where the Yamato is, and then warp it somewhere else. warp part of the Yamato somewhere. Rip the thing in half. And also, why wouldn't you park yourself on top of the bridge, not on the underside of the ship or near the engines? Why did you park yourself there? I don't know, man. I don't know. Domel's final moments, pretty cool on the face of it, pretty stupid the more you analyze it. And I just don't see this hindering the Yamato. Obviously, it can't hinder the Yamato. That's the main argument that I have against plot armor. Is the element when you put all of your main characters in one place, you know nothing bad is going to happen to that one place. And this is 1970s. I don't think that we're going to be like dropping main characters left and right. It doesn't feel like the show. The only one I think is the only one I'm worried about dying is Okita, because they're setting him up to die so that Kodai can take over. And Kodai is such a bad choice for leader. I guess my most interesting aspect for me going forwards is finding out what happens from here, because my bet is that they're just going to get to Iskander, and that Iskander is going to repair the Yamato, set it up, and then it's going to go home. But as I said before, we're near the end of the first run of Yamato, and then we have Yamato 2 after this, and I don't know. Clearly, there's a lot to Yamato, more so than getting to Iskander and back. So I guess we'll find out. So I guess until the notes for next time, where I will do more of a deep dive into it there than I have here, I have been Theta, this has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?